Hey guys, this says fueled by Jesus and coffee. That's pretty cool, huh? Well, this morning I wanted to share, basically, I wanted to share a memory because I have been watching all these videos on YouTube of what's happening in Manila right now and the flooding, and I have seen some of the videos bring back a lot of memories, not just the one I'm going to share with you because I'm seeing what's happening there in the University Belt of Manila. I used to live over there, but I was in the Philippines about 18 years ago during a storm called Ondoy. You can look it up, Ondoy. I believe internationally it was called Quetzana. And it reminds me a lot of what I'm seeing on the videos right now. Although I'm hearing people, I was chatting with a friend last night on Facebook, and he says like he thinks it's worse than what happened in Ondoy. But when Ondoy hit Manila, the day it hit, I went across town to do a radio interview. And that was really a dumb move on my part. It was foolish because I didn't realize how bad it was getting out there. And because I was living in Manila, I was used to heavy rain and a little bit of flooding and all that kind of stuff. And so I got on the train, the LRT, went across Manila. When I got off of the when I got down from the LRT, the flooding was starting, but it was still manageable. I think I got on a Jeep, and the water's getting on the roads and everything. But I get out to the radio station and I do the interview, and by the time I'm doing the interviews, when I think it really hit, because nobody cared about that little interview that I was doing. I remember the one interviewing me was able to read messages, and it's all about, hey, our house is flooding and this and that. So my again, going across town and doing that interview was not a wise move on my part. But in fairness to me, I guess nobody knew it was coming that bad. Ondoy is kind of like what I'm seeing happening in Manila right now, in that it's not so much a lot of wind, it just dumped a lot of rain very quickly. So I did the interview, and that's when the flood hit. I went to a nearby mall afterwards and hung out there for a little while because I was thinking if I hung out for a little while, maybe the flood will go down enough. And then I tried to make the journey from that mall back to the LRT. I I had it in my mind. The LRT is way above ground, and I had it in my mind if I can just make it back to the LRT and get back to my side of town and get back to the LRT station where near my apartment. I think that was Central Station is where the one that I used to get on near my apartment. I had in my mind if I can just get back to the LRT, I can make it back home. So I go outside and I'm trying to get back to the LRT. I'm just walking. There's no vehicles going there. And I remember I'm walking in water that's like waist deep. And I walk and walk for I don't know how long, maybe several blocks. And I see people up in their houses, top of their houses, that kind of thing. But at some point I reach a point where I people are telling us don't go the way you're going. It's even higher. They're doing this and saying if you go that way, it's even deeper. You're going to have to start swimming. So I ended up going back to the radio station compound. The radio station was not just a station, it was like a compound. And the guy who interviewed me graciously said, "Yeah, you can sleep here tonight." So I slept there overnight. The next day, I was able to find a taxi that would take me back across town. And I think I paid him like 500 peso or something like that, which at the time would have been about $10. I might should have paid him even more than that, but he was able to kind of navigate streets that were not flooded to get me back home. And I remember he got me to a point near my apartment called it's a there's a bridge called the Yala Bridge that goes over the Pasig River. And he got me there, and I just said, sorry. Got a little bit of the El Paso cough going this morning. Apologies for that. But he got me to the Ayala Bridge, and I just said, okay, cool, yeah, this I can walk from here. And I remember as I walked over the Ayala Bridge, I was just amazed because as I'm walking over, I lived at an apartment complex called Gotesco Twin Towers at the time. You could look that up too, near Estem City, Manila. But as I'm walking over Ayala Bridge, I was just amazed at all the water. And at that point, I had been in the Philippines 2009. I had been there 7 years, and I had seen nothing like it before. And I just was amazed how high the water was. And keep in mind, at this point, it had been 24 hours. The water had actually receded, gone down just a little bit. So anyway, I made it home, and again, my apartment was fine. It was on like the 6th floor. So, compared to what a lot of people went through, I was extremely blessed. I didn't really have any major problems. The only thing I had to do, to me, it was more like an inconvenience more than anything else. It wasn't a major, I didn't really lose anything or get anything damaged by the flood as far as my personal possessions go. So anyway, I'm watching this happen again, and it's more than one factor that seems to be causing this kind of stuff. As you know, you may not know, but there's a lot in the press the past few years about how all this money that was supposed to go into flood control has been lost to corruption. And I won't say a lot about that because I just don't know. But, it's living in Manila, I remember you could tell it's like some of the same problems that cause traffic are what's causing these floods, in that a lot of the infrastructure was built decades ago. And the roads, you take a road like Taft Avenue, it's not designed to carry the amount of traffic that it's carrying. It was built decades ago. And the same way, just a lot of the infrastructure was built a long time ago. It wasn't designed for what it's taking on right now. So you've got the infrastructure is not designed for proper flood control. Yes, people do throw plastic on the street too much. And again, okay, part of that is systemic, in that you won't find trash cans all over the place like you would, let's say, in a place like Singapore. So anyway, it's just very unfortunate. And my heart goes out to the people of the Philippines, especially the people in Manila and other places like that, because I've seen it on the news it's been described as Manila is paralyzed right now. And I would say that's a pretty good description. Heavy rains and especially flooding of this nature it just paralyzes the city. And so I feel for you guys in Manila. Hang in there. I feel my heart goes out to the students who are already, even on a regular day, would have a long commute to get there to the university belt, and now I don't know what they're doing. They're doing their best to keep up with their classes, I'm sure, but I've seen a lot of those videos of Recto and Moraita and some of those streets, and I know it's not pretty out there. So anyway, just thought I would chime in and share a memory with you guys right quick this morning.